The All Dress Podcast with Conor McKenna, Eric Macramella, and Shaun Starr starts now.
Hello. Welcome to a new episode of All Dressed. I don't understand why my lighting is so different than it was on Sunday. I guess it's to do with what time of day it is and what the weather's like outside. Either way, we're happy to be with you. Eric Macramella, Shaun Starr, the Tripod, reunited once more. Hello.
Tripod was not my nickname in high school. It is a little dark here in my office. I apologize. I don't have the fancy microphone. I don't have any fancy lighting. I'm doing the best I can under the circumstances. But hey, bottom line is I'm happy to be nominated.
Yeah. And doesn't my background look as plain as it always does?
It's as vivacious as you are.
Consistency, boys.
Yes, sir.
Impressive. Wow. So finally, advantage no longer with Eric on audio quality. I did, if you're watching this on YouTube, I woke up from a nap not long ago, and I feel like my hair is not, it's never like a 10 on 10, but it's really at about its lowest point right now. Guys, the Canadiens have won 3 games in a row. They've equaled their season high winning streak. They've done so without key veterans in the lineup and with the help from Caufield and many other younger players stepping into expanded roles. Shout out to Jeff Petrie for looking like a star defenseman as well the last couple of games. Let's start with Caufield, since that is the headline grabber. The photo is of his smiling face, whether it's on Saturday night or now after the Monday night game, delivering that goal, swarmed by his teammates. We've heard the calls in French and English. This is fun. This is just like Eric and I talked about on Sunday, Shaun. I said this is why we watch sports, is for moments like this, which they definitely delivered. But the people have been waiting, Shaun, now for days to hear your thoughts on Caufield mania.
Yeah,
lay it on me, brother. What do you got?
I gotta say it's impossible, for guys like us that watch this team night in and night out to not get caught up, right? You try to, at least I did, try to hold myself back and look at other players that the Canadiens have tried to bring along and develop and say, well, they could have done a better job here and tried a different path with that player. And then Caufield gets graduated to the NHL and he's got 4 game winners in 7 pro games. This is how his pro career has started. So it's impossible to not get caught up. And yet I still, Eric, feel the need to hold the reins back on my fanboy card and not throw myself entirely into the party because of that fact that's still in the back of my mind about players that have had big pops before, and then they've kind of fizzled out a little bit. So you see where I'm coming from there?
I do. No pulling back, no tugging here, none of that. Enjoy it, Shaun. Enjoy it because you're watching something that Canadiens fans haven't seen in a long time. That's a bona fide young goal scorer drafted by the team and producing and doing so in a memorable and special way. I am absolutely beside myself. And when Cole Caufield scored those 2 overtime goals in both instances, I found myself rewatching the overtime just a number of times because it's just such a wonderful, special moment. I absolutely love it. And it's long overdue.
Yeah, it's the entertainment value of the overtime. Oh, it was pretty good, actually. I saw Leafs fans in particular complaining about the Canadian strategy of just, you don't like what you see, circle it back and start it all over again, and doing it all over. And just think about what we were looking at the beginning of the season for this team at 3-on-3, that they would, if they didn't like the look, their solution was give it away to the other team and hope for the best. They're now doing the polar opposite strategy, which is great to see. And it's great that Caufield's the beneficiary here. He's the perfect guy for that situation. The speed, the finishing touch, the ability to create when there's a little bit more space. He's the guy for that moment. What I do wonder and what I want to see is long-term 5-on-5, how this is going to go here. I'm not trying to go negative or complain or anything here, but I've not really felt like he's looked dominant at 5-on-5. The thing is, I haven't expected him to look dominant at 5-on-5, but will that become a concern when the playoffs come around? Right now, he looks like a 3-on-3 specialist in a way, which is great, but it's not going to matter 5 games from now. The power play will remain significant, and hopefully he gets his sea legs under him at 5-on-5 and is able to produce. But that to me is the sort of the thing I'm still waiting and seeing.
You know, it was funny listening to you there, right? Because like you, I saw, Leafs Twitter, it can be a pretty nasty place, not to suggest that Habs Twitter can not be a nasty place too. But it's funny, right? Like sports fans and how we behave sometimes, like, stop scoring touchdowns, stop scoring goals, stop stealing second, just stop it. Just stop them, right? Same thing about, well, they didn't dump the puck and they didn't do what they're supposed to do, and that's give up possession. Stop reeling it back. It's like just the nature of the sports fan that just can't stop complaining when it's so simple. Just stop them from scoring. Stop them from possessing the puck as often as they did yesterday. This is why this rivalry, I really hope gets taken to the next level with, what's around the corner and everything.
Yesterday, Cole Caufield played across 3 periods, about 10 minutes, about a minute and a half in overtime. The manner in which he's being used by Donald Ducharme, I get it's conservative, designed to protect him, pairing up with Jake Evans and Lehkonen for the most part, but he's not being used properly. Ducharme is going to figure it out. He should be paired with Suzuki. Let's see Suzuki, Caufield, and Toffoli as a line. So once Ducharme figures out that he has an elite goal scorer with an elite release, he's going to start using him in a different way. They're maybe bringing him along slowly, Connor, but I think he's not being used properly. 12 minutes is not enough.
Well, here's a scenario. What if Brendan Gallagher and Thomas Tatar are healthy? Is Cole Caufield still in the top 12?
Again, I would pair him with Toffoli and Suzuki. It's your second line. And now what you have is you have 4 lines you can roll with depth. But look, he is so effective on the power play on the flank with that great shot. He's effective 3-on-3, but he can be effective 5-on-5. We've seen him skate around. He can find space. He's smart. He's actually strong. So I think this is a guy that can be effective.
And to be determined, but let's also remember that, we're often reminded of this about ice time and how it's earned and roles and how it's earned. And right now, there aren't a lot of standout moments, whether you agree or disagree with Eric's take that Ducharme isn't using Caufield correctly. There aren't a lot of standout moments yet, other than the 2 overtime goals. But to Connor's point about 5-on-5, come playoff time and matchups and reliability and trust factor, right now there isn't a lot of it, if any at all whatsoever. So right now, I would say that those 2 guys, Gallagher 100%, Tatar right behind him, and then Caufield.
And let's not Jonathan Drouin also member of this team. We'll see what happens there. But I did want to, just for the listeners that were wondering if I was going to let that slide from Eric, the answer is no, will not. You called him Donald Ducharme, the Canadian head coach. You did.
I missed that.
And I don't know if that was perhaps a reference to former Montreal Canadian Donald Dufresne. Remember him back in the day?
I was not invoking Donald Dufresne. I just got his name wrong.
Okay. It happens. But of course, that we can't allow that sort of a thing to go by without comment.
Shout out to Donald Dufresne. What up?
Yeah, I believe an Anaheim Duck for a while, perhaps an expansion draft loss by the Canadiens. I'm not sure about that.
No, shout out to Donald Duck.
Team. He was on the cup winning team in '93.
Yeah, I believe so. Although I'm not sure if he was in the top 6, but he was on the roster. I'm pretty sure about that.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. So last night, what else did we see? We saw Philip Deneau on the ice. Answer me this, ladies and gentlemen. If the Canadiens don't get a goal with less than a minute to go to tie that game, are we hearing loud complaints from people about what the hell is Philip Deneau doing on the ice with his 4 goals on the season? But instead, Donald Dufresne's rewarded rewarded for his decision to get a guy out there who scores roughly a goal every 10, 11 games or so this season.
Connor and Shaun, when overtime started and Deneau was on the ice, I hit pause. I went to the furnace room. I grabbed a chair, came back, threw it at the TV, and hit play. I could not believe my eyes. So thank goodness it worked out for the Canadiens. But I have to say there was a little bit of shock and awe to see Danault out there when quite clearly Suzuki and Toffoli would have been the more intelligent choice. And this is my issue with both Dominic and Donald Ducharme. To let go of these archaic ideas and let's go. Let's be aggressive. Let's be young. Let's win, Shaun.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I really don't disagree because like it worked this time, right? It worked this time. What about like the next 3 times that exact situation is going to play itself out when maybe the stakes are a little higher than they were in game number 51? Because, you know, I do think that it was quite clear, and Suzuki has just been a man possessed lately with 9 points, almost a 2 point a game average over his last 5, right? Has really reached the next level at a very crucial point of the season. That was it. That was how you're going to win the game or why you're going to lose the game. But, you know, tap on the cap to Dominic Ducharme. But I'm just, again, I don't want to be skeptical, but I can't help myself but wonder about, you know, what's going to be down the road for the Canadiens in the playoffs.
And well, again, we're a long way away from that, but some different lines again for Canadiens practice today. Anderson, Danault, and Caufield to make up what's, I guess, the top line. I guess whatever line Danault is with is the top line. Danault, Suzuki, and Armia, Frolik, Stahl, Perry, Kotkaniemi, Evans, Lehkonen. Am I getting that right? I don't want to get any of this wrong here. Let me just double check exactly. Kotkaniemi, Evans, and Lehkonen. So I see this from Lou. And then, okay, so John Lou clarifies then it's Lehkonen, Kotkaniemi, and Evans on the wing. Kotkaniemi, for all the great play from the young Canadiens players, guys, in the last little stretch here in this little mini winning streak, Kotkaniemi has not been dominant and saw himself glued to the bench for, I believe it was 9 minutes at one point during last night's game. What about the fact that, and he's back at center now, so I guess the hand wringing over that can stop, but is it time to adjust the expectations for a guy who's got just 5 goals so far this season, or are we still in wait and see mode as to whether he can do the very thing you've just been talking about with Nick Suzuki, and that is find another gear here as time goes on?
You know, when I watch, go ahead, Eric.
I was thinking about this last night. You know, Suzuki had a slow start to the season, and even you, Conor, had expressed some concern over which, you know, as to how he would sort of unfold insofar as his career goes. And he's done really nicely over the past month, playing a lot more confidence. Last night I watched Kotkaniemi and I'm starting to shake my head. I'm starting to get a little bit concerned at this point. He's been in the NHL long enough. And at this point, if he's not an impact player, I have concerns that may not materialize for him because there's still time. He's still young. He's still really, really young. I guess I'm just having some concerns, but he's got a great wrist shot. He can have tremendous value on the power play playing the flank. We all know that. But Shaun, when I watch Kotkaniemi play, I guess I'm not seeing the evolution I had hoped for this season.
You know, and I agree with that statement. By no means am I worried about his development or his future prospects, because there were enough consistent glimpses from what I saw from a guy who did put 3 pucks on net yesterday and at times had dominant control when he was working the offensive zone. There wasn't enough of it, mind you, but there were some moments like that show me that I don't know if he's prepared responsibly to tackle it yet at the NHL level to play center. Because to go back to my point, when he was on the wing, you saw a guy who wasn't thinking, he was playing hockey. And he was making moves and he was throwing his body and he was firing pucks. There was that instance where they had the puck hemmed in last night against Toronto. Cole Caufield's on the same sheet of ice in the offensive zone, and he had his shot pretty much half cocked, ready to go. And Kotkaniemi kept shooting the puck. There were 2 moments there where he didn't defer, that he did shoot. And I was like, there's a confident guy, and I like that. And maybe in a year from now, guys, Kotkaniemi will find that confidence to be a freer player that doesn't overthink his defensive responsibilities and the role that comes with being an NHL center with high expectations.
When it comes to do or die games in the playoffs, Shaun, to go back to you here, and you've got to choose 12 forwards. And let's say everybody's healthy. Is Jesperi Kotkaniemi at center or on the wing?
He would be at the wing for me. Yeah, he would be at the wing for me. He would.
Eric?
Agreed. Yeah, I think if you have your full complement of forwards, the team is better with him on the wing. So that's where I would put him.
Connor?
And I think to your point too of ultimately there's just less responsibilities, and it's easier to just remain focused on whatever it is that you want your focus to be. But that's not going to be necessarily having to worry about all the responsibilities in all three zones that come with playing center, and to use your size on the boards, to throw your weight around a little bit, and to just focus on using that heavy shot and hammering them on goal and hoping that your guys can get rebounds. Maybe you're right about that, but I will say that I still reserve the right to change my opinion on that particular topic.
Fair enough.
All right. How about a couple other things that we're seeing right now that we might not see in the playoffs? 5 games left for the Canadiens. They've got the Senators one last time. Are you guys okay with that? Only one more game against the Sens on Wednesday night?
Good. It's tomorrow. That's fine.
It's fine by me. I live in Ottawa. I've been hosting the morning show this week. It's fine by me.
Okay. The Sens, by the way, the hottest team in the league right now.
As in, like, good looking?
7. I believe they're 7-2-1 in their last 10 games. That is the best record of any team in the NHL in their last 10. Yeah, that's right.
No, not bad.
I'm surprised that you guys aren't more shocked than that. But
well, no, because I've been crunching the numbers on the Sens for a while now, and just to make the point on this podcast and on the shows that I'm on, that the Senators are a better team than people think and have been pretty decent of late. And this team reminds you what's possible with the Canadiens when you empower young players and give them confidence.
I disagree.
That's what we're seeing.
I mean, like they've been great since mid-April, man. They've been outstanding for almost coming up on a month here. Why? Because they got nothing to play for other than to impress people. Like I mean, it's fun, and I like that they're spoiling, the mood of a lot of different fan bases, but.
But Sean, how can you say there's no pressure on them? How can you say there's no pressure? These guys are playing for their jobs.
There isn't.
They're young players playing for jobs.
And what, Eric? They're going to be bagging groceries at Sobeys?
No, but I mean, outside a small handful, outside of Thomas Chabot, outside of Kachuk, Norris, and Batherson, and maybe a couple other players. By the way, Mete played like 26 minutes last night for the Sens after Chabot went down. Yeah. You still have half of those players are still playing for jobs, right?
I understand.
There's still pressure on them.
Well, in the terms of fighting for a fourth and final playoff spot, and you have to win, and your goalie has to stand on his head because he's going to be the final line. Talk to me if the Sens do that 7-2-1 when they have to win all those games.
I will call you. We will talk.
You know my number.
I don't, because I have a cell phone. I just have your name. I don't know your number.
Sick.
Right. All right. I'm going to give you guys a few different things that are going on with the Canadiens, and you're going to tell me if you would like to see these things continue when the team is playing for keeps. Okay.
Go ahead.
Your first one is Alexander Romanov is in the top 4 and playing a significant role on the blue line of this team, a role he's now playing and wasn't playing for the first 48 or so games this season.
Mm-hmm.
Romanov is one of 2 defensemen on the Canadiens D-corps that is mobile and is not as mobile as Jeff Petrie, obviously. He had a rough game last night, and that's to say the least. It was his worst game of the season. That being said, when Romanov is playing well, he's of great value to this team and brings something the Canadiens need back on the blue line, and that's mobility and some level of speed. John?
Man, I see him with a lot of confidence sometimes, but the trust factor and the reliability, I would say yes, but situational.
Yeah, I think ultimately you need him. He's not Eric Gustafson, so hopefully he's going to be able to erase any mistakes that he does make, but mistakes are going to happen. But I think that is something you ultimately have to accept because of what he can do.
Dude, he's feared when he's on the ice, man. He hits and you don't see it coming sometimes.
Yeah, you love it. Yeah. It's an element that this team, they've been missing ever since they lost Alexei Emelin, perhaps.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Doug Harvey, because that's how far back it goes for me. But yeah,
I thought you were going to say Donald Dufresne.
No, it's Andy Dufresne. That's right.
Vladimir Malikov, anybody?
Oh, who wants to go skiing?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Ski trip.
All right. Next one for you here. Shaun planted this one in my mind this morning, that Jake Allen is your starting goaltender when the playoffs start. Contract status and everything else be damned. Eric, is that correct?
For those listening to the podcast, I am nodding my head in agreement, and I was hoping you would raise that as a question. Bottom line is this: Jake Allen this season has not lost the Canadiens a single game. Bottom line, Carey Price has lost some games for the Canadiens. Jake Allen has been incredibly reliable and solid in net. I like Jake Allen. Yes, it's different when you're a starter. I get it. He had issues in St. Louis. I get it. But Shaun, Jake Allen has earned the right to be our starter in the playoffs, baby.
Did you just blame Carey Price for the season?
I blame Carey Price for all the ills of society.
Yeah, Conor, Jake Allen would be my starter. If I had to make up my decision today, with the hypothetical being like if we pick up like when Mark Denis was talking about on RDS, if you missed that part, and of course he was on the TSN 690 morning show when he mentioned that in a hypothetical world, if Carey Price were to get into games 55 and 56, would that be enough depending on what he did in those two games? I don't think so, Conor. I like what Jake Allen has done. I like the way the team has evolved and playing and have really played much better in front of him. And I think that's how the Canadiens should approach that situation, because you see the next 5 games playing out, Carey Price coming in and looking like the bubble version and ready to take it all over again. It's hard to see that.
How about this on Price and Allen? Would either of you be willing to concede that the best stretch of goaltending that this team has seen so far this season was when Carey Price was in goal and when he was at his best, albeit not for a long stretch of time, but that he did give them the best stretch of elite goaltending that they've had this season?
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
And you can also look to the bubble that Shaun referred to, and he was exceptional in the bubble. He put that team on his shoulders, or on his back, excuse me. The issue is we don't know what we're going to get with Carey Price. And this season he has simply been far too inconsistent to be deemed reliable. That's why I opt for Jake Allen, who has been very reliable.
Yeah, I do. I agree with you, man. But it's a what have you done for me lately kind of world, isn't it? And that's how it should be treated.
Yeah. I think maybe this is just me preparing myself for but Carey Price is going to be playing game 1 of the playoffs, right? Like, come on now. Right?
Yeah, and I agree with you. And by the way, I'm saying Jake Allen starts game 1 and then we see. But
yes,
there is the value of having Carey Price in net, say, against the Leafs, if we play the Leafs. It makes Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner and Nylander and Tavares maybe second guess themselves once in a while, before they unload a shot. There is the psychological advantage to having Carey Price in nets insofar as your opposition goes.
Yeah, if he's playing well. I mean,
right.
if he's playing the way that he's played more often than not for the last 4 years, then I don't think you have much of an advantage at all. And you might be better off with a shooter tutor out there. No, I'm kidding. I took it one step too far.
That was hurtful. I'm sure he's listening, and that's hurtful.
Okay, let's move on to this Major League Baseball story. Eric, I know you are always passionate about this sort of thing, even in the dark room from which you are doing the podcast today. An expansion fee in Major League Baseball. Can this be true? That what's Seattle paying? $500 for the NHL? Is that right?
I believe so, isn't it? Or is it more than that? Yeah, it's $5. Yeah.
So what? And that's twice as much as Vegas paid, I think, unless we're getting this wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Major League Baseball, hello expansion fee. The report is that it's a $2.2 billion fee just to have what the Seattle Kraken have today.
$650 million for the Kraken.
Okay,
that's
650.
Right. Yeah.
Okay,
that makes sense.
So that would be more than 3 times more than what they paid, almost 4 times as much as what Seattle paid for the NHL. $2.2 million expansion fee. Eric, my friend, tie this back to Montreal and the story of our Expos or our X-Rays perhaps returning here.
So the issue I've had with this joint custody proposal arrangement between Montreal and Tampa was it would only take effect once the lease or the use agreement expires in Tampa in the end of the 2027 season. So the ultimate question, when I distilled it down for everybody, all the listeners, was why would Montreal wait 7 years for half a team? If you're going to wait that long, you might as well get a full team by way of expansion, because once this next CBA is signed and once Tampa gets figured out and Oakland gets figured out, then the league is going to expand by 2 teams. So I always said, well, look, maybe the group in Montreal is aware of a situation that is perhaps representing as a hurdle to getting an expansion team. And maybe it's this $2.2 billion price tag. Perhaps it's too rich for their blood, and they elected to go the way of this absurd joint custody arrangement, but which perhaps is no longer absurd given the evolving context. So when I saw that story today, that's what occurred to me. Maybe that's the reason, because there was something that we were not being told. Why would you wait 7 years for half a team? We can get a full team in 7 years or less, Shaun.
And so I mean, it was going to be the price tag of like $5 billion, right? I mean, if we're talking about expansion fee of building a development, getting a stadium up and running off the ground, and then eventually bringing a team here. And so what does that do in terms of, so let's say if we take the leap and we assume that Major League Baseball and these business mavericks actually get this deal done, and there is a shared team in that vision. And if we go the full way and the city of Tampa Bay decides that they're no longer in the business of being co-owners of a Major League Baseball team, what does that now become? Relocation? It's no longer expansion, because would Montreal absorb the second half? Wouldn't they? So
yeah, but Stuart Sternberg has said that Montreal cannot support a team for an entire season. He said this. So he's not going to move the team. He says they can't. He'll move it to Charlotte instead. It's a disaster from top to bottom. But maybe now we have that missing piece.
So it's not worth. Is it worth it?
Of course, I don't think it's. I think it's. I wouldn't even say. I wouldn't assess its value, because it's not going to happen. There's just too many business and legal hurdles in the way. But in theory, is it a good idea? I think it's a terrible idea, splitting a team between 2 cities. It's streaks of desperate. And please, I know all about desperate.
Yeah, we need.
Look in his eyes.
Our Montreal rich people aren't rich enough. We need somebody for whom $2.2 billion is a drop in a bucket. And the fact is, there's only a handful of people like that in the entire world. I tell you, it'd be something. Vladimir Putin. Okay. Here's a hypothetical for you. Okay. How much do you really like baseball in Montreal? Would you tolerate Vladimir Putin, arguably the most evil man on the planet, becoming the owner of your Major League Baseball team in Montreal, if it meant that he foots the expansion fee, builds a stadium in, let's just say, the Peel Basin, and that does not have any qualms on spending big on player salaries? Would you be willing to compromise your morals in order to have Vladimir Putin as your sugar daddy baseball owner?
And I guess that means Donald Trump is the general manager.
No.
No,
you're going to have to. So here's
he's
my
the commissioner.
scenario. He's going to act the way these rich Russian soccer owners act, and that is being extremely short-sighted when it comes to managing the teams, spending tons of money, hiring big name managers, and then firing them at the first sign of trouble, that sort of thing. So there will be for sure, a little bit of instability around the team. But again, remember, you've got your team. You've got no more questions about tax dollars or anything like that funding anything. You've got a beautiful, extravagant stadium featuring obelisks that were illegally acquired from Crimea and all kinds of other weird things like that.
This is quite the assorted hypothetical. It's
so
very
what
emotional.
would
very
you do
emotional.
it?
I just said, yeah, I wouldn't sell my soul for a team.
You're not selling your soul.
That's not. I think that's selling the soul.
I do it. I would do it.
Connor, you know, I live downtown. It's kind of the downtown core, I suppose. 1,000%. If it meant building the stadium within walking distance to my house, I 1,000% would endorse Vladimir Putin as the new owner of my new favorite baseball team.
I think I would too. And if that means, and that doesn't mean eternal damnation.
I'll see you in hell, boys.
That's what selling your soul means, eternal damnation. I don't believe Vladimir Putin owning the Expos would cause that. Therefore, I'm all for it.
We could do the podcast
Connor,
from hell.
Connor, can I just say one more thing about this? Baseball announcing the $2.2 billion price tag, the timing is not a coincidence. Teams are suffering as a result of the pandemic. Revenues down by about $4 billion this season, $3 billion last season. I've said it before, the league will expand ahead of schedule. And it's for Montreal. It's about getting all the people in place and all the financing in place. And this continued, this continuing to focus on this joint custody proposal suggests to me, Connor, they don't have those people, just like you suggested. And
Well,
if I'm
we know
wrong, I
this.
dare you to get an expansion team, Brockman. I dare you.
I can tell that Eric didn't particularly like my Vladimir Putin question, but I pressed on ahead with it anyway because
I loved it. What are you talking about? I thought it was
Professional.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Guys, it's time for our top four this week. We waited on Shaun for the Shaun-less episode that we recorded this past weekend so we could soldier on ahead with our man, Shaun Starr, who, by the way, celebrating a 20-year work anniversary with the TSN 690 or the Team 990 this coming Friday.
Congratulations, guys.
Very cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Amazing.
Excited.
So top four appetizers.
Yeah.
Apps. So we did top four apps already, remember?
Right, software applications,
Exactly, like apps on your phone. Now we're doing
downloadable software. Yeah.
top four appetizers. That would be, and I guess for me, I'm not sure about this because I know the stuff that I wrote here, and it's stuff that you might eat before you eat a main course.
Absolutely.
That's
that's
what I came
fine.
up with here.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So who wants to go first?
Okay, I'll go first.
Eric.
From 4 to 1. 4, it's a bit general. Any kind of fancy appetizer with mushrooms. I love mushrooms.
Ooh,
Mushrooms
stuff.
are tremendous. Me and Vladimir have mushrooms all the time together. We talk bring a team to Montreal.
Oh, it's good.
Love mushrooms.
Yeah,
Number
me too.
3, number 3, old white cheddar cheese, about 5 years old. I love that stuff. I can bathe in it, and I have bathed in 5-year-old cheddar cheese. I love it.
Oh.
Number 2, one of them fancy meat platters, prosciutto, the salami, like those really great because it just aesthetically looks very nice. Plus, I love all the salt.
Are you gonna front as the wealthiest man in this podcast?
No.
That you don't actually know what that's called, that you don't know what the name for that is, or you just don't want to say it? What is it?
I don't know. I thought it was a meat platter. No, tell me what it is.
A charcuterie board?
Oh, a charcuterie board. Yes. Okay. Sorry. Sorry. And with a
Please.
bit of caviar sprinkled, obviously, in and around that board. And number 1 is an appetizer that is not aligned with my wealth at all. You would say, how is this even possible? How does Eric
Please.
love this appetizer? Because he has so much money. And it would be the Saint-Hubert mozzarella sticks. That specific
Amen.
brand. I love those mozzarella sticks. They're absolutely beautiful. That's my top 4.
You got it. You got to eat them fast, though. They don't have a long
Not a
shelf
problem.
life.
Not a problem.
Never a problem.
But there's
Like
a
Pac-Man,
balance. Isn't there a balance to be struck? Because if you eat them too fast, they're going to be too hot and you might burn yourself.
Which has happened many times.
You got to strike right in that sweet spot. You ever
Yeah.
take a bite and then the cheese kind of comes out and then you get slammed with the burning hot cheese on your chin?
Correct.
I have a lot of mozzarella
Bad
stick
pizza.
eating experience, and I've relied on that. Perhaps you've read my book, How to Eat Mozzarella Sticks.
You know what's the worst food item for that is the jalapeno popper.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, that's disgusting. Please.
Absolutely.
What? You don't like the jalapeno popper?
I do not. I thought you didn't like it either.
Wow.
No,
Bad
I'm just-
take
I'm
alert,
just saying
bad
it's-
take alert. Bad take
it's
alert.
it's a lethal food item. Especially I
Agreed.
don't have a perfect bite.
Yeah.
So I don't always get all the way through the jalapeno, and that could create a situation where steaming hot cream cheese ends up on my neck, and I'm
Right.
in mortal danger. But you got to keep
Dude,
going.
if you ever go back to Vegas as someone who likes jalapeno poppers, Mr. McKenna, at Gordon Ramsay's burger restaurant, they have a starter of 5 jalapeno poppers, but one of them is a mysteriously like burn your mouth off, just underneath burn your mouth off status, but you don't know which one it is until you know which one it is.
The temperature or the spice level?
The spice level.
Oh,
They put maybe, I don't know if it's a ghost pepper instead of a jalapeno popper or something like that, but something that raises the heat level significantly.
sounds fun.
Indeed.
All right, Shaun, give me your top 4 appetizers.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm laughing myself out of the room listening to Eric's, and I think I have the palate and the wallet of a 13-year-old boy. Coming in hot at number 4, old man strength, soup. I love a good bowl of soup as a pre-meal starter. No matter the soup, generally, I'm pretty good. So let's more from soup into an always a delicious potato skin. Always fun as a communal appetizer.
Very nice.
Connor, yay, no, thumbs up, thumbs down. Potato skin at number 3.
I feel like we're taking pub food and making it into appetizers.
I'm going on experience ordering off a menu, really.
Yeah, like you go to the restaurant and you get a potato skin appetizer?
I definitely have, and I definitely ordered it too.
Can you name the restaurant?
Mama's in Ville Saint Laurent.
Okay.
Yeah. Chicken wings, gentlemen. Number 2.
Good one.
Chicken wings at number 2.
Although that's kind of a meal too. It's not really an appetizer, is it? I mean,
it's a pub food. You're listing your favorite pub foods. Are you going to say nachos next?
No, cheese sticks is number 1. But
cheese sticks.
Most menus under the appetizer banner will have all of these items. This is not. I'm not pulling this out of left field. These are legitimate appetizer entries on most low income restaurants, are they not? Connor, I'm not talking.
Very nice choices. Very nice choices.
I think my thing is that I associate appetizers with more of a high end restaurant. I don't.
That's why I said I have a taste of the 13-year-old boy.
Right. But all of this being said, what I am going to do is I'm not going to go with like specific dishes at my favorite restaurants. I don't have time for that, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, except for one specific restaurant that I will name. Okay. So I'm gonna go. I'll go in order here. I'm gonna say the soup. I'm with you, Shaun. The soup, a nice bowl of soup, well prepared, delicious, delightful. And then, you know what I'm gonna put in there with it? Bread and butter.
Absolutely.
I mean, a really nice fresh piece of bread with a really, really nice butter. I mean, maybe it should be higher on my list. One of my favorite things in the world to eat: toast and butter. Toast. I'm thinking about it right now. I'm looking at my toaster longingly. I always have really high-end bread in my freezer, and then I'll toast it from frozen. And oh, baby. Anyway, that's, by the way, if you're looking to gain weight, that's the way to do it.
It's so good.
The charcuterie board, Eric, shout out to you on that one, is on my list here too.
Not the meat board.
No, but the thing I like about a good charcuterie board is you could plop just about anything in there, and it's basically socially acceptable. Shrimp cocktail, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
But the mighty prosciutto, like a nice high-end prosciutto, is always a must. A soft cheese and a hard cheese like Eric's 5-year-old cheddar, and different things like olives and maybe some nice pickles. Something spicy is nice as well. And my last one, shout out to my friends at the Keg for their bacon wrapped scallops. Ooh, I don't know if you've ever eaten those bad boys.
Good call.
I will never get tired. It was the first thing I thought of when you said a bacon wrapped scallop, and dip it in a little Frank's Red Hot sauce and pop it in there. And that's nice.
I love scallops.
That is delicious. I really like the Keg's spinach dip as well. That hot spinach dip.
Sure.
That's also really nice, but the scallops are better. Agreed.
Now I'm hungry.
It's just been so long since I've been to a restaurant. I don't even remember what it's like to sit down with other people.
For the first time, I feel a bit embarrassed. My greasy spoon appetizers, charcuterie boards, and caviar.
Shaun, let me put it to you this way: it hasn't altered my opinion of you in any way.
I'll see you at hell.
And you know what? When we can, Eric, and when you're allowed to come, perhaps for the baby shower this summer, which you guys are going to be invited to. You don't have to come, but you're going to be invited to it. But maybe we should try to go out for dinner.
If it's allowed, if it's permitted, and if Emily is okay with me wandering beyond 5 feet of the house, then I will be there. She's interestingly, she's quite accurate with that bow and arrow. You would be surprised. So,
like the Hunger Games.
Yeah. So, but I would love to be there, and I would just love to share a meal with you guys, and have Shaun leave early because he has to go golfing.
What a glorious day.
Or would you rather he leaves early because he has to go golfing, or arrives late because he was golfing?
I don't want him to arrive late because he'll arrive sweaty and in sort of an agitated mood, maybe.
No.
If he starts with us, I think it'll be a nice transition to his exit. And frankly, after a while, you want Shaun to leave anyway.
Fair point.
I
Yeah.
prefer, for the record, I would prefer the late arrival always over the early exit.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. We managed to go only about 20 minutes over our allotted time here. And so
Got
we'll
to
try
stick
to
to half an hour, 30 minutes.
You know, lots
We
of
keep
good
trying.
stuff. Lots of good stuff. So anyway, well, that was episode 15, was it? I believe.
That's correct. 15.
All right. We'll talk to you again in a couple of days. Cheers.